Hey guys, wanted to do a chat on sprinting progressions and how I reintroduce high speed running at the start of pre-season with team sport athletes. Had quite a few messages in the past about how do I progress things and my thought processes behind certain areas. So I wanted to just go through this now. Now, obviously, we all know sprinting is a highly sought after skill. The more efficient we are at sprinting, the less likely we're going to get injured. The quicker we are, the more successful we're probably going to be on the field. But the reality is you're not going to have a whole heap of time working on your sprinting because there's always going to be a tug of war between you and the head coach about how much time you can do. Now, that's just the simple logistics, unfortunately. Now, Derek Hansen created this term called microdosing. I'm sure a lot of coaches are familiar with it. I really like this concept, and it's about trying to get a little bit of working at the end of each warm-up for your sprinting. So I'm going to run you through how I kind of do it. I'm not saying I'm perfect or the way I do it's perfect, but it's just how I do it and my thought process behind it. So you have a max velocity day, you have an acceleration day. I use my speed power drills as a major component of my warm-up, but you're probably only going to have 20 minutes in reality. Now, speed power drills are great for working on relaxation, timing, stiffness, coordination. These are all things that are important for the quality for sprinting. But one of the other things they do is provide context of specific positions that are important for sprinting. Now, for team sport athletes who aren't track and field athletes, when we're sprinting, it's quite hard to change our technique at high speeds. So if we can do these drills at lower velocities, hopefully we can put ourselves in some positions that we need and they're going to transfer back over when we're doing high speed sprinting, provide some context there. Now, same as everything else, all my progressions, I like to start simple and I make these more complex over time. The main drills I like are your A marches, your A skips, your A runs. Then these drills can become more the switch type things, your booms, your boom booms. I don't mind dribbles on your max velocity day, over your ankles, over your calves, over your knees, and also like a lot of the scissor drills, small, medium, into your prime times. And I like bleeding some of these drills in as well. So you're going from small to medium to your large into running. And then you can do this all as part of your warm-up. And you can also make these drills more complex, like Bosch type stuff by, over time, you can crisscross your hands, take away some of the stability in your upper body. You can use a dowel rod, you can have your hands above your head. But I think it's quite important that you learn how to use your hands first and learn the fundamentals first before we start getting real fancy. So once we've done these drills as part of the warm-up, hitting those positions, it's important to remember that when you're training a large group, it's quite hard to provide a lot of different cues to people. So we can use environmental constraints to try and put our athletes in positions that are going to make them more successful. So on your max velocity day, I like to use wickets. And then on my acceleration day, more resisted stuff. Okay, these drills within themselves have their own progressions. I don't just chuck guys into wickets straight up. What you have to do, I like to do is I like to get them running through cones first, and over time I'll start putting these mini hurdles in place to make it more complex, so they're more familiar with the drill, and they can learn how to do that drill properly. And you give them certain cues, resisted stuff. Everyone knows about resisted running. Main thing is just putting you in positions that are going to carry over acceleration. Now here, a lot of people just come out and just start sprinting at higher velocities. You've got to be really careful because I always think of things from a worst case scenario. And the reality is a lot of you guys have done nothing in the off season, and your worst case scenario is guys are going to pin their hamstrings if you don't manage the load. So here, I like to start off with build-ups. Then I'll go to flying sprints, floating sprints, and then curvilinear. Now, build-ups means that you're just gradually building up, and you might take 50 to 60 meters to build up. You're not grinding through it, you're relaxing, and you're building up through the gears to hit a certain percentage. Week one, you might be conservative, start at 85%. Week two, you might be at 90. Week three, you might be at 95%. In all reality, if we're doing true speed work, you're only going to get a couple reps in because you need to have a couple minutes rest probably 3 minutes rest on your max velocity efforts, really. And you're not going to be able to stand around and your coaches aren't going to allow it. So we're only going to get a couple of reps here in, and that's just due to time constraints. Now, after you've done your build-ups and you expose your athletes to this higher speed running in a safe way, you can do flying sprints. So initially you might do 20-meter flight builds with 10-meter flies. Then you might do 30-meter flies with 30-meter builds with 10-meter flies. So and then after time, you might do 30-meter builds with 20-meter flies. Okay, so the fly area is getting bigger, so exposing the athletes to more high-speed running. And after a few weeks of this type of stuff, you might be going into your floating sprints. I learned this from the great man, Mr. Roger Fabry. I saw a lot of him doing that with a lot of his athletes, and I really, really liked it when I was shadowing him. You might start up, this is like a 10-meter sprint, 10-meter acceleration, 10-meter sprint, 10-meter float, and 10-meter sprint. So accelerate, sprint, accelerate, sprint, float, sprint. If you're doing this correctly, you're not going to see like a guy's put a handbrake on or anything like that. Okay, it's going to look really, really smooth. And I think this is a really strong stimulus to teach people how to work for gears and also create relaxation when they're running. And then you can increase the intensity here by doing like a 10-meter acceleration, a 20-meter sprint, a 20-meter float, a 20-meter acceleration. And then after this, you're building up for here. I don't mind doing some curvilinear stuff. I got this from Matt J from the Canal Sharks. He introduced me to some curvilinear stuff. So that's my progression from my speed stuff, my max velocity build-ups, flying sprints, floating sprints, curvilinear sprints. With resisted running, you're already in high velocity stuff here, so you want to work on your acceleration to start with. Initially, you might be doing a lot of resisted stuff, so the high speed stuff's just taken down a notch. But you're going to work more on your short stuff. So you might start off with, say, 4 by 10 meter sprints, 2 by 20 meter sprints, maybe 1 to 25. You might hit a 30, depends. I like to be conservative start. Okay, now over this period of time, this is going to flip flop. Okay, you're going to start doing less of this shorter stuff and you're going to start doing longer stuff here. So imagine down, I don't want to go forward progressions, but you might start doing 2 by 10, 2 by 20. You might have got 1 by 30, you got 1 by 40. Okay, so you're going to start doing more of this longer stuff and you're going to do less of the short stuff. And that progressing through, that's what we call short to long. I think that makes sense for team sport athletes because you're exposing your athletes to more high speed running over a period of time, and it's going to be safer on their hamstrings in my opinion. Now, same thing here, over time you can make this more complex. Initially you're just going to do you might do soft to hard starts. You might start off with some walking sprints, then you might do some 3-point start sprints, you might do some sprints off your stomach over time. These positions can get a little bit more complex. You might do it, jump up in the air, get pushed. You might do it from side shuffle position. When we've got a good volume of running and we might start racing each other, you can do stuff like mini curves and accelerate out of them. You can put them in game-like scenarios, so it's a bit more specific to the game. So you can get a bit more creative here, but it's important that you have the fundamentals first, I believe, and this is how I do it. I hope it makes sense. You can get these sessions probably done in 20 minutes. High quality sessions, speed power drills, max velocity stuff here, progressions I've outlined, same here. Hope you got some benefits from this. Sorry about the whiteboard. I know it's pretty shit, but I'm not Leonardo da Vinci. I'm not an artist. So hopefully the thoughts and the processes and some of the ideas behind it are beneficial. Thank you.